Hey everybody, my name is SPAZ and I'm a CD junkie. On this episode of CD Junkie, I'm going to be talking about yet another Scottish band, this time new wave beat group, punk rock band, the Rezillos. Also, I'll be talking about the Revillos, their offshoot band. Now, I got into this band just like everybody else, started hearing these songs and was just absolutely 100% amazed. The debut album, Can't Stand the Rezillos, came out in 1978. Now, that album is available as disc 1 on this Flying Saucer Attack 2 CD set, and it is just jam-packed with great, powerful, melodic, punk rock, new wave beat group. It's just fun. It's infectious. William Mysterious is the bass player on the album, and it's some of the most amazing bass riffs you're ever going to hear. It's fast and furious, and it's just monumental. Now, the album came out in 1978. They had released a few singles and they were fun, never took themselves too seriously. They had two vocalists, Eugene Reynolds and Fife, and both of them just played off each other really well. And the album Can't Stand the Rezillos is just jam-packed with great songs. Like I said, it's disc 1 here, and I mean there's songs like Flying Saucer Attack and Somebody's Gonna Get Their Head Kicked In Tonight, which was used on one of the Jackass movies, I think the first one. And then Top of the Pops is great, and they do a revved up version of Glad All Over. My Baby Does Good Sculptures is fantastic. Now, this disc actually has bonus tracks, including the Destination Venus single, which was produced by Martin Rushent, who had produced the Stranglers and Buzzcocks and many other bands at that time. And it was really absolutely fabulous. Just great pop. It's really melodic. If you're not into buzzsaw guitars, frantic beats, and just a big dose of humor, you may not like them because they're very kitschy. It's really fantastic. The guitar player who co-wrote some of the songs is Joe Callis, who had been in bands before and he was in bands after. The most significant band that he was in after the Rezillos was Human League. He was there during the Dare album and the follow-up album Hysteria, and he played a big part in creating Don't You Want Me, which is completely different from the Rezillos. But the Rezillos only lasted really a short amount of time. After that debut album and a few singles, tensions drove the band apart, but they did play some final gigs, and there was a live album that came out in 1979, and that was called Mission Accomplished, but the beat goes on, and that's what disc 2 is here, and it has some bonus tracks there as well as a couple alternate takes of studio tracks. And this 2 CD set, like I said, Flying Saucer Attack, brings together all the original Rezillos recordings in one place. So you really need to get that. Now, the band split up, and Eugene and Faye wanted to go off and form their own band, but when they were released from their contracts from the record label, they could not perform under the name the Rezillos anymore, so they changed their name to the Revillos, and in 1980 released their debut album, Rev Up. This also includes Rocky Rhythm. I think he was in a later period of the Rezillos, but Eugene and Faye are there, and this is a whole lot of fun. It's less punk. They draw more from like the garage sounds of the Cramps, but it's not as dark as that. But it's kitschy and camp like B-52s. So if you like that kind of new wavy, fun, edgy, kitschy type music that draws on garage and 60s pop and 50s rock, then you're definitely going to love this. You know, they have a lot of songs about flying saucers and outer space and monsters and stuff. This here is the expanded edition. You can see that it's got bonus tracks, and that is Rev Up by the Revillos. That came out in 1980. By 1982, they had been recording demos and studio tracks for their follow-up album, and when they signed a deal with a major label, what happened is the label that they were originally signed to just gathered up all the stuff they had recorded and released it as an album called Attack. The album that the label released was not the album that the band wanted to release, and there were a lot of issues with that, and the band sort of disowned the 1982 album called Attack. Later on in the 90s, there was a CD version called Attack of the Giant Revillos, which is that same old version of the album, the version that was not approved by the band. But in 2002 came the CD called Attack, and this is the band-approved album. This is the mixes and the songs that they wanted on the album, plus loads of bonus tracks, as you can see there. It's a whole lot of fun, a great time. It's not the Rezillos, but they're not trying to be the Rezillos. They're moving on and they're doing something new and exciting. Now, the band proceeded to record their next album, and they released a few singles and broke up, and that album was never released. It was probably going to be released in 83 or 84, but in 2003, Jungle of Eyes was released, and this is actually the album that they were working on before they split up. And it's a lot poppier than the other stuff. Some of these songs were on Attack, but these are the re-recorded versions. This is much more commercial, much more popular, but still fun, because they were great songwriters. That's what people forget. Yeah, they had this cool image. Yeah, they were kind of goofy on stage, but boy, they had the songs to back it up. And this is the album still with Eugene and Faye and Rocky Rhythm. Boy, just a lot of great songs on this, including a few extended mixes, but then the 7-inch versions down here. So some of these songs did appear on Attack, like I said, but these are the official re-recordings that they were planning on releasing before that whole Attack fiasco happened. And then eventually they split up after this album, Jungle of Eyes, but they still left behind a musical legacy. 2 of those releases are now available. This one here is called From the Freezer. The album originally came out in 1996. It's a compilation of unreleased tracks, but it was just released by Damaged Goods in 2019, and this includes a lot of unreleased tracks, demos. There's a few live tracks in there, alternate versions, and it's a really great collection. I actually prefer the version of Sputnik Kiss on this over the version on the album. And a brand new compilation hit shelves in 2019, and that was called Compendium of Weird, and this is yet more unreleased and alternate and demos, and it's another fine, fun collection. They're both so worthwhile. They're snarly, they're gnarly, and it's a whole lot of fun. But as a postscript to the Rezillos, Eugene, Faye, and original drummer Angel Patterson got back together, and they released the album Zero. This came out in 2015, so this is actually the second Rezillos studio album. And it doesn't sound like the Rezillos of 1978, because of course it's not. It's 40 years later. From what I understand, Joe Callis was originally part of the reunited Rezillos, but he bowed out by the time this album came out. But there was a song co-written by him on this. But anyway, that is it with my Rezillos and Revillos collection. Thank you for hanging out and listening to me talk about music. I really appreciate it. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. And until the next time, my name is SPAZ, and I'm a CD junkie.